you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous line o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the and the home of the that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the and the home of the
Before the American Revolution, our founding fathers considered themselves slaves of the empire. And then Thomas Jefferson read John Locke. And he said that our freedom was not given us by the king. It was an unalienable right given us by God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable. The founders understood that, and this is why, at the end of the Declaration of Independence, they put, "We pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." They said they would die before they'd be slaves. I won't just die before I be a slave. I'll kill before I be one. So all y'all out there to say you have no choice, what the founders showed you. It was Patrick Henry that said, "Give me liberty or give me death." And on that fateful night when George Washington had to cross the Delaware River in the ice and the snow, or the American Revolution would be lost, they said, "General, what are the passwords?" He said, "Victory or death. Either we're successful tonight or we all die." That's the idea of a free man. And I am a free man. So all you out there that believes that someone has to give you your freedom, you're admitting that you're a slave. If you come try to take my freedom away, God has given me the right to defend myself. And I got two things that'll get you off of me. That is Jesus and my 38. Slaves is a choice.
Y'all, we ain't have no audio. Okay, let's start over. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable. Y'all, last night, my apologies. Today has been an unusual day. Our whole family dynamic has been off. Whenever my husband takes off of work, it just throws, like, we have like this rhythm in the house. And I'll be honest, it's not as structured as it should be. And so when he's off and he's home, it just throws everything off. So I apologize that there was no audio. I got the live chat sitting right here, but I'm not looking at the chat and I'm not gonna read it. Cause y'all was probably telling me, ma'am, we can't hear you. That's in the past. Okay, we're here now. So let me start over and tell you what I was telling y'all. So, last night, you guys, welcome back to the live stream. If you're just watching us or just joining us, half the first, I don't know, 5 minutes of the show was in silence. It's okay though. But what I was saying is that it's almost as if I never left y'all because we were just here last night, the Unshakable family. Y'all, when I say we clowned last night, if you did not watch last night's live stream, you are missing out. I took a break from my usual political and social commentary, and we just watched a whole grown woman at the airport crash out in a bathrobe because basically they wouldn't let her on the plane in her drawers. And it was funny. We had a blast. It was just nice to let our hair down and not take ourselves too serious and laugh at the crash out of what used to be Spirit Airlines. Hopefully you did learn something from that live stream, even though it was just pure comedy and entertainment. But tonight we actually do have something of substance to discuss. So y'all, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I told y'all I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so just extend me some grace and let's be a family again. So today, you guys, I'm doing this show, believe it or not, with a very heavy heart. The reason why we're starting this show at 9:15 is because I wrestled. I was like, I really don't want to cover this. Like, I want to cover it and I want to discuss it with somebody. But the narrative surrounding this whole Nolan Wells situation is really got me feeling some sort of kind of way because I I struggle because I am a mom and losing a child. Like, the whole situation is tragic. And I would have preferred the nation or just the community down there in Mississippi, just mourning the fact that a young man has lost his life, and we're all trying to figure out what happened. And while the tension of not knowing specifically what happened, I understand that tension is real. The part about this story that is so disgusting and grievous to me, and that I believe does nothing to bring this country together, because it's not like the melanated Marxists are interested in bringing this country together. No, it's not even profitable to have discussions that say, hey, wait a minute now. In the absence of evidence that would point to this having anything to do with racism, can we just mourn and then put the appropriate pressure on the authorities, and then give the authorities the space that they need to investigate before all of this distrust sets in? Because white boys are killing black boys like every day in this country. Isn't that what happens? Isn't that what happens every day? I mean, let the race hustlers tell it. That's what's happening every single day. And it's happening so much that we've had it up to here, right? With them killing all of our young black men. Like, I can't even say it with a straight face, because everybody under the sound of my voice knows that that is so not true. We know that it's not true. And what's puzzling to me is how every weekend, when the crime stats come out from Chicago or Philly or Baltimore or St. Louis or Memphis, or hell, even down here in Atlanta, when on any given day of the week, forget the weekend, just any given day of the week, young black men are shot or stabbed, or something tragic is happening to them, and we can't seem to mobilize the community to be outraged about that. Like, we can't get the black Hebrew Israelites to march in any of these cities to say, we need answers as to why this keeps happening. That never happens. No one is forcing the community to say so-and-so's name. We don't hear say take Quayshawn's name, say Jaquarius's name, say Jamal's name. Just pick a name. You never hear the mantras. No demand for the mantras to say anybody else's name. But why? Why is it now, all of a sudden, our sights are drawn to Mississippi? Oh, I know. Teacher, I know why our sights are drawn to Mississippi. It's because Mississippi has a whole lot of historical reference that we can pull from and, dare I say, exploit for money, for outrage, for publicity, for the pure sake and evil of it all. We can do that. Like, we can turn this tragedy that's happened into Mississippi burning without any evidence. Now, hear me clearly. Here's what I'm not saying. I've already covered this in a very broad, sweeping overview. I covered this Nolan Wells story, and I already acknowledged that, listen, I got some questions. I have questions because I don't understand a lot of the missing details that are not coming together. And I am interested in getting to the bottom of this and getting to the truth. But here are the things that give me pause. Whenever I see, the ambulance chasing pulpit, like the pulpit pimps and the race hustlers, when I see the iron triangle on cue make their way to the scene of the crime, I'm like, yeah, see, that's it. That's all I needed to know. So just as easy as it was for all of the pro-wokety woke blackety blacks, those who harbor this hatred in their heart for white people on the basis of the fact that you're just told to hate white people, just as easy as it was for them to jump to conclusions and say, oh, these white boys and his friends, they must have something to do with it. And, black children are not safe in the community of the whites. Just as easy as it was for them to jump to conclusions, I said, okay, well, let's have equal weights and measures. I too, I jumped to some conclusions too. Now, the conclusions I jumped to were based off of pattern recognition. Let me see, we got Ben Crump on the scene. I was like,
flag on the play.
The moment he enters the room, you already know that thick-tongued, ignorant-talking attorney, I'll be nice, you already know that he is going to shape a narrative, and it's not that he's just this obvious Weasley liar. No, it's not that. See, what Ben Crump does, he's like the serpent. He will mix in a little truth and then somehow have your attention shift over here as opposed to staying and focused on the main thing. For example, we're going to watch some clips. I have pulled some clips, and we're going to listen to Ben Crump. He actually joined forces as I had a feeling it would happen. I said 5. I said all we got to do is count, and eventually Jamal Bryant is going to enter this tragedy. And the Lord's Day was Sunday, and guess who showed up at Jamal Bryant's church virtually? It was Ben Crump. So I said, oh, okay. So now we have the veteran wolf in sheep's clothing. We got Al Sharpton on the scene. He's already teamed up with Ben Crump because the family has retained Ben Crump for help. And then Sunday, the news stuck a mic in Jamal Bryant's hand. And he is not going to miss an opportunity to exploit and bring up race and this country's sordid past. And I already knew. I said, this is getting nasty. And this is getting so nasty. And I said, I've got to say something because here is the danger that can happen. The people of God, those of us who have hearts that are tuned into the Holy Spirit and who are interested in the truth, even some of us can get that weird little icky feeling down on the inside when we like, I know these are the race hustlers and the ambulance chasers, and they have no history of dealing honestly and actually getting justice for anybody. All they do is make a big brouhaha about the tragedy, show up on the scene, raise money, get their check, and then when the truth comes out, they kind of never come back to correct the record and to straighten everything out. It's just a record of unanswered questions that don't seem that important anymore. So when I saw Ben Crump show up virtually, because he was on the Zoom thing at New Birth on Sunday, I said, see, what can happen here is that two things can be true at the same time, that something could have happened to Nolan. Now, we don't really have enough evidence to draw any conclusions. But why is it the one conclusion that so many people have already drawn is that white boys in the company of black boy somehow results in black boy being nefariously deleted, and now we need to protest. Like, how did we get here? So what we're going to do, we're going to examine some clips, because even as a Christian, there are parts of me that I said, nope, I'm going to guard my heart. I'm going to guard my heart because this is what the enemy wants. He wants those of us who are united by the gospel of Jesus, regardless of our ethnic expression. He wants us to now start to look at one another with distrust. Those of us who have children, who have diverse friend groups, all of a sudden we're like, well, the enemy would come in and say, well, should I let them go with so-and-so? Because, I know they know us and we know them, but what if it's just this one time something could go wrong? That's the enemy whispering in your ear, forcing you to think things and putting things in your mind that were not there before until this case became a thing. And so before we look at these clips and we actually analyze, we're going to analyze some new developments that have come in. We're also going to analyze how the Wells family has started a GoFundMe. I kind of knew that was coming. And here, I'm trying really hard not to cast aspersions on this family. They seem like a lovely couple. But the moment you hire Ben Crump is when the red flags are raised for me. And it makes me ask more questions like, what is there to raise money for? Why are we assuming that you can't get justice unless you hire the shakedown artist who can exploit a situation so much that it puts undue pressure on a community and creates racial tension where there was none before? These are some of the questions that I have. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars have already been raised. They have a GoFundMe. I am told that even Tyler Perry has volunteered to pay for the funeral. I'm like, it's so many Black children. And I ain't talking about just the ones in the hood that die every weekend to gun violence. Not talking about them, but I'm talking about just the good kids who were either at the wrong place at the wrong time, or they're in the hood, but their families have kind of insulated them from the effects of the hood, and they're just going to school and doing what they're supposed to do and working their job, and they get hit by a stray bullet or just something crazy happens. Why is it these celebrities never start a foundation for these young Black men? They're not rushing. They're not rushing to pay for the funeral expenses of any of these individuals. But this story, you got Spike Lee. Like, what? What is happening here? Why are the family? This is a Mississippi local community story. And the boy's body was barely cold, and the family's up at Good Morning America up in New York doing a whole interview. I'm not saying they're not allowed to do any sort of media coverage. If my child was mysteriously deleted, I would want to raise awareness too. I would. But I can tell you what I wouldn't do. If my phone, if my email, if a stool pigeon showed up and said, hey, Ben Crump want to holler at you, I'd be like, yeah, I know you lying. No, I'm repulsed by the idea of such in being approached in such a way. I'd be like, Ben, who? Click. I'm hanging up the phone. But that's not what happened here. And it makes me wonder why. Why is he and Sharpton and Jamal Bryant and Tyler Perry and Colin Kaepernick? We can't forget him. Everybody is trying to gain a little piece of the pie in the spotlight. In the name of we want justice for Nolan, we're going to pay for the funeral. Well, I'm going to pay for the independent autopsy. That's what Colin Kaepernick is doing. Speaking of which, we're going to get to them clips, but I ain't done. I got to get this out because this has been weighing very, very heavy on me. Colin Kaepernick has an organization. Did I print out my notes? Sure did not. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me get the notes. I had printed out something. Did I? Hold on, y'all. Don't move. I did. Here we go. I printed out some notes because I said, I need to know, are all of these Black activists that are aligned with the anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-heteronormative nuclear family organization, Black Lives Matter, why are these individuals aligned and found some sort of affinity to this case? What's in it for them? And what I did, do y'all remember? Shout out to the individual in the live chat earlier who said, whatever happened to the independent autopsy that Colin Kaepernick paid for just a few months ago, maybe it was a year ago, of Trey Reed. Yes, this was down in the South where Black folks are just known for being lynched like every day. It's on a college campus in Mississippi. They wanted everybody to believe that this young man was lynched. And no one, even though all of the law enforcement, the coroner, everybody involved was Black, they said, no, it's no possible way that this young man deleted himself. It must be a lynching. It must be. All kinds of conspiracy theories started surfacing, circulating on the internet, broken bones, and he was beat up. And I mean, folks was just making up stuff. So I said, Colin Kaepernick has an organization called the Know Your Rights Camp. And this was the organization that was responsible for paying for the independent autopsy for Trey Reed. And here's what I discovered. Here's where things stand. First, the Mississippi State Medical Examiner and the local coroner concluded that Trey Reed died by suicide by hanging. The authorities stated they found no evidence of foul play. Well, you know, the Blacks don't trust that. And so therefore, after the Reed family expressed concerns about inconsistencies in the investigation, guess who entered the scene, boys and girls? Ben Crump. Ben Crump announced that Colin Kaepernick's organization would pay for an independent autopsy. However, months later, mysteriously, like we're all still trying to find it, reporters were still unable to obtain the report. I mean, are y'all still working on it or not? Like, what's the status? Kaepernick's organization, the family's legal team, and representatives. This is what they did, y'all. They either declined to comment. So they had all of this to say, all of this press. Every time you stuck a microphone in their hand, they had something to say. But now we're going to decline to comment. So they either declined to comment or said the investigation is still ongoing.
Flag on the play.
Y'all, how long ago was this? Okay. Was it ever determined that Trey Reed was lynched? No. 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 There have been no official determinations by law enforcement, medical examiners, or any publicly released independent forensic report concluding that Trey Reed was lynched or murdered. Just all of a sudden, it kind of just died down and went away. What happened to justice for Trey Reed? Likewise, there have been numerous claims circulating on social media alleging broken bones, severe blunt force trauma, or other injuries inconsistent with suicide. But none of these claims have been substantiated by any publicly released forensic report. Multiple news organizations noted that these rumors were unverified and cautioned against treating them as established facts. What did the evidence determine? Official ruling was suicide, self-deletion. Family's position, what is it? They dispute. Even now, they still dispute that ruling and sought an independent autopsy. They announced said independent autopsy, but we can't see it. It's private. It's private. We can't see it. Well, why is that? Oh, y'all didn't have to answer that. Y'all didn't have to answer that. There's no publicly available evidence supporting that statement. Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, we have Tawana Brawley. We have so many cases. Like, he's got a whole litany and just baggage that comes with him, where he's just been proven to be exploitative and a daggone liar. Just lying. We saw some similar shenanigans with the whole Trayvon Martin situation, with the retarded girl who was the girlfriend, but not really. Like, these people are not trustworthy. They are the last people that you want involved if you're actually seeking justice, or unless you just want national media attention so that money can be raised and that the Marxist playbook can go forward as designed. That's what I think all of this is. So, we have several clips to get to. I told myself I wasn't going to be here all night, but y'all know how that goes. So, let me get this queued up. Don't
Peaceful
start playing.
protests calling for more transparency in the.
Let me get situated. All right. I'm dealing with the facts. Like, my emotions are so far removed from this. I'm just dealing with the facts. I want us to be sober-minded and deal with the facts with this Nolan Wells story. What has happened to this young man is tragic. It is sad. We're all confused trying to figure out, where did he go? What had happened? Like, we need more details, but nobody wants to exercise patience and allow the authorities to do their job, or allow the authorities to do their job and the independent investigation and investigators to do their job, and everybody just be quiet until we have something conclusive to say. Something don't make no sense. Like, for example, I know I'm gonna play the clip. In one of the first press conferences, the appearance on Good Morning America, when I think it was Michael Strahan asked the parents a very direct question about the deleted text messages, because I was like, yeah, I mean, that deserves to be explored. They never answered the question. They went into this it was like almost like a diversion tactic, and they started talking about the Snapchat and the Life 360, and they just went into this long convoluted story. But I'm sitting here like, no, wait a minute. I want to know, how do you know text messages were deleted? That was the question. Very simple question. How do you know text messages were deleted? A simple answer would have been, well, we pulled the phone records and we saw the text come in, but when we compared that to what's on the phone, we didn't see it. Or we grabbed the phone and we looked in the trash bin and saw messages that were not in the, I don't know. They never answered that. And I was like, that's interesting. Why would they just like, that is a very important piece of evidence and piece of information. And then two, they have not turned this phone over. Oh, you're going to learn about that. Let's just go ahead and get into it.
Peaceful protests calling for more transparency in the Nolan Wells investigation was held Saturday evening in Mississippi. The parents are seeking answers about what led to the death of their son. Wells' body was found after a 4th of July boat trip with friends to Horn Island in Mississippi. The death has sparked speculation after his friends returned from the trip without him. Patrick Wright reports.
The goal of today's protest, I feel like, would be just to say his name. Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
For me, this means a whole lot because I have my kids in this community too.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
I'm a mom. I have 2 sons, so it hit home for me.
Nolan Wells could have easily been my grandson.
Yes, sir, Nolan.
I feel like today's testament is that we want answers. It's not about vengeance. It's not about accusations. It's about the truth, and it's about transparency.
We're going to stand behind the family, and that's why we're out here.
No peace.
A lot of times, these stories go unnoticed.
Because Nolan Wells is not the only one. There has been a long historic string of young black men losing their life under very suspicious circumstances.
Yeah, it happens every week in the hood when somebody gets shot and then nobody see nothing. Like, oh, you mean like the no snitching? Like, that is like a culture code. Snitches get stitches. So I'm trying to stay calm, y'all. I really am, because I want justice for this boy so bad, but they are clouding the whole situation to where at this point nobody wants the truth. Because the moment the truth comes out and it's not what they wanted it to be, then what? What do you do to, how are you going to heal or ameliorate all of the racial wreckage and tension you've now caused in this community? To tell me, stories like this get swept under the rug and just nobody notices. Really? Really? I agree. Every weekend, the senseless gun violence between Taquayshawn and Jaquarius, and as soon as you ask everybody on the block, I ain't see nothing. No one sees anything. Why is it that you guys want to elevate this story so much? If Black Lives Matter, for me to believe y'all that, and to believe that y'all believe that, I need all these Black lives to matter. All the Black lives every week that I talk about, I need the Black lives of these teen takeovers where they chimp out, acting like a bunch of pavement apes and orangutans. I need those lives to matter too. Snatch your children up instead of being out here protesting with no facts and no evidence. We're all sitting here in the dark, confused, like nobody knows what happened. But y'all want to engage in this performance. This is a friggin' performance. All of these Black men, IUIC, that's the sect of the Hebrew Israelites, Israel united in fake Christ. It ain't the real Christ. It's the false Christ that can't save you. But that's another video theologically for another day. Y'all managed to assemble and march with such precision. I mean, y'all was looking pretty sharp out there. It was hot too. It was hot. They all had on their little fringes, all the fringes and the black pants. I mean, Shorty right here got a whole speaker on his back. I ain't never seen that before. Normally, don't they have wheels and roll? Okay, well, whatever. Listen. Y'all are marching. This is not a cause. Notice what all of these different groups have in common. Ethnic narcissism, racial idolatry. The Black Hebrew Israelites, they hate white people, so I should have known they were going to show up. Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, Jamal Bryant, that's the trifecta of race hustlers and pulpit pimpery. So, and they don't like white people either. White people are always the problem and the object of their hatred. They have to have a boogeyman, so it's the white man. Here's what I don't understand. I heard someone in this clip say, stuff like this is happening all the time and nothing changed. Here's my question. If the South currently today is so bad, why is it? And I still had this question even during Reconstruction and then in Jim Crow and the Civil Rights Movement. Why were y'all fighting to integrate with these people? I mean, when I say y'all were fighting to integrate with them, it was like we couldn't pry you off of them lunch counters if it was the last thing we did. You wanted your children to go to school with these people that spitting on them, telling them that they hate them, calling them all kinds of names, everything but a child of God. You wanted to integrate with these people. But you want me to believe, this makes no sense. If it's so bad, why haven't you went when the opportunity presented itself? Oklahoma, Nebraska, the whole state of Texas, we couldn't pull you away from your former masters. So which one is it? Either the white man is bad and you can't stand him and don't want to have nothing to do with him, or you really, really do idolize him and you love him so much that you can't stay away. You're going to have to pick a struggle because it can't be both and. It can't. I am not convinced that this is a march and protest rooted in truth and virtue. There are too many bad actors with a whole lot of sinful expressions of hatred toward others who don't look like them, which clouds this whole performance is clouded by racial tension and strife and division and ethnic narcissism. It's got all of the makings of black supremacy. We have young people whose lives will be forever changed by this because y'all ain't really interested in the truth. It must be something nefarious. This man right here, this Marxist, do you see this piece of paper in his hand? The truth about slavery? It's 2026. Why are you handing this out? Why do you even have this? Who gave this to you? Who's bringing that narrative into this discussion? Somebody is. Let me go back. I done lost my place.
A lot of times, these stories go unnoticed.
Because Nolan Wells is not the only one. There has been a long, historic string of young black men losing their life under very suspicious circumstances.
I am the family of Emmett Till.
Y'all don't really want me to cover like the truth about Emmett Till. Y'all, it's gonna piss too many of y'all off, and it's just not, y'all not ready. I've given you a lot. I've overwhelmed you enough. It's bad enough I got a film out called Slavery is a Choice. Y'all not ready for this. Maybe next year we will cover the truth about Emmett Till and the perspective that no one has ever considered, and the truth about who was with him, who actually took the white men to him or handed him over to him so they could do what they did to him. Y'all ain't ready.
And my family is here in support of what's going on because this young man should not be dead.
No justice, no peace.
So I know him personally as a kid before he went out to college. It's hard in this generation to find kids that still say yes sir, no sir.
Nolan Wells.
And when he came to me and wanted to work, he said, you know, my mom and dad told me I gotta get my own money. And I said, but when you go out to college, I want you to make good choices and decisions to set you up for a lifetime. And he said, yes sir. That says a lot about his home life. It says a lot about his parents, and it says a lot about him. The things that he did while he was here on earth, it left a statement in a place in a lot of people's heart. Life is precious, no matter what color you are.
Now, I agree. I can't find fault in what this young man just said here. We're going to separate what he said from the other shenanigans and foolishness from this news story. But he is right. It is very difficult in this day and age to find young black men that say yes sir, no sir, because so many of them are not being raised right. And so that is what's so disheartening about this, and it's heartbreaking. And it's not that his life is better than Taquayshawn's life. I'm trying to understand why don't nobody care equally for Taquayshawn like they do for Nolan. Who's advocating for all of the senseless violence that is happening every single weekend that doesn't get a protest? They don't get a GoFundMe. All you get is that ninja dead, y'all. That's all you get. That's all you get. Or people going on social media recording what they've done. We exhibit hatred in our heart toward one another, but it don't hit the same unless there is a perceived injustice of hatred in the heart by a white person toward a black person. Unless it meets those necessary conditions, Black Lives Matter, the Marxists do not care. They are not interested at all. They won't raise money to send the baby that Taquayshawn leaves behind so that he can have a future. They don't care. So I'm trying to understand, it's not that, well, because they don't care about that, they shouldn't care about this. I'm trying to figure out, why are you so interested in this unless there's another agenda? There's too many of the wrong people representing this tragedy and speaking for it. Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, Jamal Bryant, the Black Hebrew Israelites, and Black Lives Matter. That right there, that little recipe, if you will, of melanated-minded Marxist organizations tells me that the truth does not matter. These organizations don't seek truth. They seek to exploit for selfish gain and to move this country further and further apart as opposed to us being Americans. They want the distinctions. They want you to look at your white brethren with distrust. White people, they want you to look at your black brothers and sisters with distrust. That's what they want. They don't want equal weights and measures. They don't want to examine a matter and allow the facts to come out before they make a judgment. No, they don't want that. Let's finish this one and we're going to move on to the next clip.
That's a fact. We just need to get to the facts of what really happened. That's really what it's about. The facts. It's not about the color of the skin. It's about sticking to the facts of whatever it is. And if it's something that happened as a mistake, then just let's speak about it.
Now, that is a legitimate argument. But it's drowned out by all of this other foolishness. I agree. If something happened and it was a mistake, we just want to know what happened. But why are we jumping the gun, jumping to conclusions, and getting all of these bad actors involved who you already know these Negroes ain't honest? Where's the independent autopsy from Trey Reed where y'all told us he was lynched? Because that's what they do down in Mississippi. Where is it? Why is it also? Let me show you in the other.
Let's talk about it.
The other thing that I have concerns about. Let me show it to you. Where is it? Is it this one? Maybe it's this one. This one.
I just know I've lost my
No, it's
best
not
friend.
this one.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't.
Yeah, okay. Something is going on with ABC 7. The audio, when they turn to what Trayston Shepard says, is non-existent. So I'm going to just have to read it out loud for you. Trayston says, quote, "We did no wrong here, and we don't
cared and loved.
Hold on. And we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind us. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life being taken so short.
Cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan.
I have no idea why we can't hear it.
Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short."
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to.
That's the video I'm referring to, and
Shepard
that's me
says
yelling. Basically, y'all know the viral video. Everybody's saying, well, he was in an altercation. How you get into a... This is the race hustling. This whole time, instead of, if Ben Crump was dealing above board and was interested in being honest, why would he put this narrative out there? Well, there's this video and it's this argument and this altercation that took place, and all of a sudden, right after that, he go missing and the phone is over here without even knowing conclusively, is that Nolan Wells in the video? The police had already said, we don't think it is, but did it stop him from putting that narrative out? And you want me to trust him, be like, no, well, this time he really is seeking the justice. No, I don't believe him, because he's a liar and the truth ain't in him. He ain't got it in him to be honest, in my opinion.
A boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met.
They met that day.
They met that day, and it was kind of
one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her.
He did come off that day that he really did like her. But that was the only time they ever hung out. Maybe I'm reading too slow. They ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th. This is Trayston Shepard, one of the friends, asserting or giving an explanation as to the altercation in the video that all y'all been talking about. That was me. Okay, so now we can rule it out. We're getting somewhere, but the water is already muddied and clouded because the race hustlers have already done a press conference to get ahead of it, not because they're digging for the truth, but because they just want to shape a narrative. And they want you to pick a side, and they want you to already decide, them white folks did something to that boy, because you know how they are. You know how they are. That's what they want. That's what they want.
July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. But there is growing frustration in the community, and his parents are skeptical, telling GMA Wells left his phone behind and they tracked it to one of his friends.
It was showing everywhere.
I have no idea why we cannot hear this, mama. So let me just go to this other video, you guys. My apologies.
Please report her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing last seen at 3 Amor Island.
New audio from a dispatcher after Nolan Wells' mother contacted authorities when she learned her son was missing. 18-year-old Nolan went to Horn Island in a boat with friends on July 4th. His body was found 2 days later. It's unclear who Nolan was with when he disappeared. And now, new details from two people who were on the island. Trayston Shepard was not on the same boat with Nolan, but tells Rolling Stone he was with Nolan and a large group around 3:30 p.m. Many have speculated this video, widely circulated on social media, showed Nolan in an altercation. But Shepard says he's the man in that video having a disagreement. In that video, you hear somebody yelling, "That is me," Shepard told Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone reports Shepard's girlfriend, uncle, and a family friend corroborated his story.
So, it's really hard.
A close friend of Nolan's, Javon Williams, telling TMZ he saw Nolan on the 4th and would have done anything to help his friend.
That's my boy, and I want him to find justice. This whole case thing, whatever, this whole situation, and none of this adds up to me.
Nolan's parents told us they need more information.
We're having to pull straws because just everything's so inconsistent. And again, we're doing this because we want answers.
Do you think someone might have harmed your son?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Kate Snow joined.
Okay, so in all fairness, my heart breaks for a family that has lost a child. But I'm trying to have empathy against the backdrop of the ninja sitting to the right of them. I'm struggling, right? So there's this dichotomy going on. I see a family hurting, and they're broken up, confused. And I'm like, the last thing they need is to be exploited like this, having him sitting there as the opportunist. And the reporter asked, "Do you believe something nefarious happened to your son?" They're like, we don't really know. And that might very well be true. So my question is, if you don't really know, why do you need Ben Crump? Why do you need Ben Crump? Why do you need Al Sharpton? Why do you need them? You don't. All of these protests, what are we protesting? Are we protesting so that the investigation can hurry up? So y'all don't want them to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb so that they can make a determination and put the pieces together. If we don't get answers tomorrow, then it must be something nefarious. I believe in being prudent and wise. If this was me in my situation, knowing it would be, as a mother, my emotions would be running high. It would. It absolutely would. But like I said, if Ben Crump's calling me, I'm like, you better stay as far away from me. I don't even want to hear my son's name come out your mouth. Because we've never seen anything good come from this man. Never. Never. He's built a career. Al Sharpton has built a career. Jamal, Bryant, they've all built a career of exploiting grievance and stoking racial hatred. They make a living doing it. And now you got Tyler Perry, publicly committing to pay for Nolan's funeral. Like I said, Colin Kaepernick, of course, because he's got this organization. What's it called again? The Know Your Rights camp. He's paying for an independent autopsy. What has not yet been clearly explained is how the remaining donated funds from this GoFundMe are going to be used. Y'all, they've raised almost 700. It might be 700,000 by this point. It might be. So I am not saying, I understand people use crowdfunding for a variety of things. This reeks of a money grab to me. It does. It would be different if people, like, if someone has time, can someone find out who initiated this GoFundMe? Because I could easily see, like, my church family and friends close to me, if something happened to one of my kids and I'm like, yeah, we have life insurance and we're just gonna bury him. And they're like, no, we want to bless you guys so that you don't have to worry about rushing back to work, and you could take your leave of absence and just get out of the public eye and go grieve. I get that. It's when you introduce the other elements in, the race hustlers, that I'm like, it's hard for me to separate. We're grieving and we just, this money is just to bless the family. It's hard for me to separate that from who else is getting paid on the back end based off of what you raise. Because Al Sharpton doesn't show up for free, and neither does Ben Crump. They don't just show up out of the kindness of their heart, because him just has so much love and concern for the blacks. No, that ain't why they show up. It's not. All right. Now we got to get into, we're going to let both of these exploitative pulpit two-bit hustlers speak on their own. And y'all gonna have to help me, Holy Ghost. Y'all gonna have to help. Look, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted.
I got to be honest and transparent with you. I was shaken to my core when I saw what happened last weekend in Mississippi with 18-year-old Nolan Wells, who went out with his friends and did not return, but they returned with his cell phone. Lord, this is 2026. And still nobody has been arrested, nobody has been charged. But I'm thankful unto God that God still has the final say. Come on, somebody ought to say something about it. God has the final say. I keep telling you, we are a local church, but we're making a global impact. Today, our dear friend is coming in to give us some updates about what is taking place and how it is that we can posture ourselves. Would you warmly welcome?
I'm going to just say this. If you are a pastor and Ben Crump is your dear friend, you are absolutely a pulpit pimp. Like, you cannot be trusted. Why would the people of God and a true shepherd, a preacher of the gospel, be interested in anything that Ben Crump has to say? So when I said, the iron triangle is teaming up. Okay, I got you. Say less. Keep the party going, player.
Attorney Benjamin Crump, who is coming online. Come on, y'all ought to shout for him. He's been standing for our people, standing for the community. Y'all ain't shouting good enough for us.
Standing for our people. Y'all, they about to give this man a humanitarian award. He probably gonna get an NAACP award if he hasn't already gotten one. When they say, I told y'all I speak fluent Ignorant. When he says standing for our people, y'all, he's not talking about the people of God. He's not talking about the people who dwell in the light and love the truth. He is talking about, remember, I told y'all, this blackness is a religion. It is a false religion with its own pathway to salvation. and it has its own theological framework. But this whole charade is happening in a building that they call a church. But this is not a true church. I need for you to understand the distinction. This past Lord's Day, in true pulpit pimp fashion, Jamal Bryant takes to his pulpit over there at Stillbirth. Y'all know that's what I call it. Y'all know Stillbirth is it's a one-stop shop for harlots and hustlers. Okay, it just is. And he's out here spouting his usual jiggable jargon, and you're going to hear a litany of Marxist incantations. So let me play this clip because Ben Crump he's entered the sanctuary virtually.
Attorney, thank you so very much for taking a moment. And let me pause before you say anything. Thank you for being a voice that our people can depend on. Thank you for being there from Trayvon Martin all the way to George Floyd. And even in this moment, do we celebrate the life of Attorney Benjamin Crump? Come on, let's thank.
Y'all, he just named two of the most high-profile race hoaxes that this country has experienced in recent history. Trayvon Martin, which didn't turn out the way, there are still people who do not know the truth about, they still think that it was a racist injustice that happened with George Zimmerman, and that it was a young black man can't go nowhere with Arizona iced tea and some Skittles. That's what they want you to believe. And then George Floyd, that's the patron saint of the blackness. George Floyd, let me break down what he represents. George Floyd represents the epitome of what they want every black man to see himself as. This is why he's the patron saint. They want you broke. They want you begging. They want you on your knees crying for your mama. High. Don't forget high. Abusive, unruly, chaotic, with no self-control, resistant to authority, and just full of rebellion, and begging, talking about you can't breathe because the white man's knee is on your neck. Yeah, they want you to see yourself in George Floyd. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying, to me, it is the most insulting thing to elevate George Floyd as your patron saint, and then to bring him up here as one of Ben Crump's greatest achievements, outside of exploiting that whole situation and burning a whole city down. And this nation has still yet to recover from the summer of love and all of the mayhem and the chaos and the racial division that was stoked on the back of George Floyd. The money that Black Lives Matter raised in his name and honor. All of the virtue signaling we saw from the Democrat Party, from Nancy Pelosi with her bad knees, kneeling with her kente cloth, from Jacob Frey boo-hooing and snotting at the casket of George Floyd. I'm like, you white liberals show our low down. Y'all get on my nerves and make me sick. This is why my people are the ones who do the will of my Father, and I don't care what color you are. You are my people if this stuff is equally disgusting to you as it is to me. I don't care what color you are. You just have to call balls and strikes. It was disgusting watching the mayor of Minneapolis with the virtue signaling fake tears, crying over a man that he did not know while his city burned down to the ground. And they lifted him up as this pillar of virtue. We're all George Floyd. I said, let's just continue. I can't, y'all. I'm on one right now because I'm so weary. I'm so weary and I am so tired because we fall for this. There's a whole congregation of people that is sitting here clapping giving honor to this thick-tongued, inarticulate, ambulance-chasing lawyer who has a proven track record of sensationalizing and exploiting any and every case if it involves a police officer or a white person. Now, not the black cops. They don't care if the black cops choke you out. You got to be white. But somehow we can't get this Negro to show up on any given weekend in Chicago or St. Louis or Baltimore or Philly, Portland, just you name it. We can't get him to show up and pour out his heart and show some concern for the countless number of young men, black ones, who are shot every weekend by other black men. So let's just listen to this man in the most deceptive way possible. Give this, we're going to call this the Sambo serenade to the congregation. Here's for your listening pleasure.
God for him. Attorney, thank you for getting up this morning. I ask that you'll share with us what's taking place in the case and what it is that we need to be aware of.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jamal Bryant, not just for allowing me to share with the New Birth family this morning, but thank you for your help with Trayvon Martin. You were the first preacher that came to Sanford, Florida from the national stage. Thank you for all your help in helping us get to the truth and getting justice for Ahmaud Arbery, who was lynched for jogging while black. Thank you for coming to Louisville, Kentucky to help us shed a light on Breonna Taylor when nobody was saying her name. And of course, thank you for all your help and your tremendous oratory skills and being able to make the case for George Floyd. And now here we are fighting in Mississippi, because Mississippi is burning right now.
Where y'all get this? I'm sorry. Where y'all get this Sambo from? I can't. Can we get some closed caption? Because it would be better for me to just read his words than to hear his words. I really struggle. I struggle with the diction and the tone. I mean, y'all, I ain't gonna make it through this live stream listening to this man. I'm just not. This is a whole psyop. I hope y'all, is it me? Am I the only one that can see this and be like, this is a straight psyop? They pulling it. It's an election year. It's midterms. Democrats need power. And I can't even prove it, but I know how they operate. The Iron Triangle has been summoned from the four corners of the country to you got to get on this case. We need y'all on it. Stoke up the flames of racial hatred and division. November's right around the corner. I'm pretty sure Freddie Haynes gonna have something to say about this if he hasn't already. Freddie Haynes is the other pulpit pimp, the other Sambo who serenades his congregation with lies every Sunday. Yeah, he's running for Jasmine Crockett's old seat against Everett Jackson, and I'll be interviewing Everett again next week because he won the Republican nomination. He won his primary against what's the boy's name? Lord, don't get me the lying. I forgot. Anyway, don't worry about it. He won. Okay, so if you're in TX30, we need to bring a win home for Everett Jackson, because we cannot. If y'all thought that Jasmine Crockett was bad, the pastor that discipled her and trained her in all of that wrongshousness that she spouts on the internet and that she did in Congress, he's twice the son of hell as she was. Okay, so I'm telling you, you need to be educated on who these people are and the agenda that they represent. When they talk about blackness, they're not referring to a color. It is an ideology. It is a false religious system that requires your obeisance and your worship. It demands sacraments. And the sacraments that it demands is you must hate. And they don't come out and say that you must hate on the basis of ethnicity, but the white person, your white image bearer neighbor that you've been living next to since Jesus was an infant and y'all got along all this time, you must look at them with distrust because his knee is on your neck, even though he's like, wait a minute, I go to work every day out here hustling with this high gas, just trying to make it from point A to point B, just like you do. And somehow I'm the problem. I'm telling you, this is a psyop. I hope you guys realize the psyop that's happening here. And I'm going to let them talk some more.
And we have to keep that fire intense until we can get to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on why Nolan Wells, this 18-year-old college football student athlete, is dead. We do know that on November 4th, he went to Horn Island in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Mississippi, where he was home for summer break before he was supposed to report back to college on Monday because he was going to this year have an opportunity to play Division I football.
See, all these details that have nothing to do with what happened are important, and I don't want you guys to miss it. This is a part of the narrative shaping. These are all great accomplishments. Hear me clearly, but it doesn't get us any closer to the truth of what happened. This is the performative baby violin for you to be like, oh, him wasn't even a thug. Because here's the deal. When it comes to Black life, we already know that they don't care about Black lives in the womb. We know that. We absolutely know that. And we know that they don't care about the Black lives in the hood when other Black people kill them. They've demonstrated a complete wanton disregard for that. But they've got to bring out the baby violin. And they've got to highlight all that Nolan Wells is and was and could have been, so that you can be even more angry, like, how dare they take one of the good ones? Mind you, there's a Taquayshawn somewhere laid out right now with chalk, a whole chalk around his body, and no one's going to say his name. His mama is got a GoFundMe right now trying to come up with the funds to bury him. But Ben Crump's not going to show up for that and give this clarion call to his people to be like, y'all, when are we going to stop this? When are we going to value our own lives enough to say enough is enough? What can we do to come together and bring community resources to put these fathers back in the home? When are we going to have some initiatives to teach our young girls, baby girl, listen, marry before you carry and don't kill your baby, because it's not enough of us being born in order to repopulate the people that are alive. Black Lives Matter. No, it don't. Have you ever heard Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, or Jamal Bryant parrot anything that I just said that is infinitely more valuable and that is a major crisis within our community right now? Where is that rhetoric? You won't hear them talk in those kinds of categories because it's not profitable. Telling Black women not to abort their children, there's no money in that. It is literally just a labor of love and having a love and desire for the truth and to see more Black babies born because you understand that they're made in the image of God. You don't get paid big bucks to say that. No, you get paid big bucks from Planned Parenthood when they give a little money to your campaign like they did Raphael Warnock, just a little bit in the coffers. We need you to make sure, that you say that, the hospital room is just too tight and cramped for the government to be in to preserve the life of the baby. Like, it's her body, her choice, but I'm a pastor. And I'm a pro-choice pastor, even though the Bible specifically condemns the sin of murder, but I've somehow rationalized it. Yeah. This is a psyop. The baby violin of talk, because he was on his way on Monday he got to get back to the school, to the community college, because it was Division I was right around the corner for him. All of those details. He's not saying this because they're proud of Nolan Wells. No. This is to pile on the coals on the head of, in their minds, this makes what happened to him that we're telling you the white people did it. This makes it more worse, much more worse. This should make you grieve more because his future was so promising. As if Taquayshawn's life doesn't have equal value. And as if Taquayshawn's life is not deserving of value, dignity, or respect. But they tell you how they feel about Taquayshawn's life and the baby's life in the womb because it's not their initiative. Like it's not like the NAACP. No, they only care about rainbow lives. Yeah. I'm waiting for them to enter the chat too, by the way. The NAACP, they'll jump on this eventually. Now, it may not be enough money to go around. They're kind of looking at the GoFundMe to see if it tips over $1 million. Maybe, we don't know. But they may raise some money off of it. The family won't see it. We'll see.
He was a superb athlete. He was in tip-top shape. His family is not accepting this suggestion that it was just an accidental drowning. And because there's so many glaring contradictions, Reverend Bryant, the fact that he was talking to a young lady and she said that Nolan said he was going back to get in the boat with the boys who he came with.
This man sound like the drunk homeless person on the corner that when he asks you to buy him something to eat and for some money to buy him something to eat, and you say, no, I'm gonna just go buy you something, and then he come with the story. That's what this sounds like to me. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't listen to this man speak. Oh Lord. We are 3 minutes and 53 seconds in, and this a 9-minute clip. Y'all ain't gonna make it. I am not gonna make it listening to this thick-tongued man talk. How you got a speech impediment and you the spokesperson for the family? I mean, y'all should have just let Al take this. Or you don't have like a junior attorney in your office, Ben, that he could just say, I'm here representing the office of Ben Crump, who's, he just infinitely more better in terms of the presentation skills and the diction and the articulation, because something is wrong. I can't listen to this man. This man went to law school and has a law degree. I would not be able to sit across from him as he explains to me my legal options. I would just be looking at him like, okay.
And then the boys said that, no, Nolan said that he said he was going to stay behind and talk to the girl. So there's some conflict there. Both of them can't be telling the truth. That's number one. And then, Reverend Bryant, we see on a video, because you're right, young people in 2026, they're always filming things on their cell phone. There's an obvious argument going on where his friends have reported to our office and our investigators that Nolan was saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? Suggesting that they had his phone.
Now, how are you the attorney for the family? And this video, this was from yesterday. You didn't know that there's now a young man saying, no, that was me? I mean, that's what the news reported. The news, Rolling Stone, and some other outlets have already interviewed the other young man who's like, look, these people are harassing us and we just want the truth. But that video, that's me. That's not Nolan arguing. If you are the attorney for the family, how can we trust anything that you say and you're not even up to date on the latest facts? Is he going to correct this record, or is he going to continue to parrot this the goal is to just introduce suspicion? Kind of like what Candace Owens has been doing for the past 10 months. She ain't interested in the truth. She's just trying confusion, just insert some confusion to obfuscate what's really going on, to distract you from the truth so that you can look at the shiny thing right here, which is the race grift. And to be like, you know what? When I vote, we gotta start voting for the Democrats because they the only ones who gonna be fighting for us and stuff. You know. What this is a PSYOP campaign to reinforce to the Black community the Marxist mindset and the communist thinking in the worldview. Look at how they're viewing this as a collective, as comrades, right? They want you to this is our problem and we need justice. It's us against them. Do you see the framing of the category and the construct design? And what makes this story so deceptive is because there are elements of inconsistency and legitimate questions that so many of us have. That's what makes this so deceptive, because what they want you to do is lean into the race narrative. Don't focus on, we're going to put that aside. We're going to make the proper category distinctions, and just as the facts come in, we're going to analyze them categorically in their proper context. And then let's see, what is the medical examiner saying? What is the police investigation going to reveal? I'm not saying that you should not have your own independent autopsy. You should. The red flags of who's paying for it and who's involved and who is speaking on behalf of this family is the problem for me. There's nothing you can tell me to convince me that these people are interested in the truth. They're only interested in exploiting this. And there's a whole lot of bad actors that are doing one or two things. Either they are exploiting the legitimate pain and grieving of this family and have cozied up to them as we're your friend and we're your advocates and we're advocating for you in your time of grief. And because when you are grieving, you are vulnerable, your defenses are down, you just everything is all over the place. You get conned and deceived into thinking that these people are really for you. How many victims' families have come out after the fact and said, I ain't seen none of that money that Black Lives Matter raised. Ain't nobody called and checked on me. They ain't said, hi, boo, how you do? Nothing. You got to be real low down and Weasley to exploit a grieving family. But this is what they do. If y'all have never seen the Iron Triangle at work, let me explain. The Iron Triangle is the Black pulpit preacher. You got Bryant and Sharpton. He's serving double duty. Because of the triangle, you have the pulpit pimp preacher, you have the civil rights worker, and then you got the politician. So technically, we don't have a politician here per se. I'm sure one has entered the discussion. But Bryant and Sharpton serve as the civil rights worker and as the ecclesiastical false church representative. And Crump, even though he's an attorney, he's more of a civil rights race baiter than anything else. And he's not a politician. So, but this is still a manifestation of what the Iron Triangle keeps. The reason why the Black community is so beholden to progressive leftist Democrat politics is because of this, and they use racial grievance as the Achilles heel they know we're weak when it comes to that and highly sensitive to it. And because it is void of truth or knowledge on an objective, or it has an objective basis of truth, they can use the fact that you're not looking to the scriptures or looking to Christ for your identity or your value. No, they want to create that for you. This This is a psyop. This is a psyop.
And then that becomes very relevant, Reverend Bryant and New Birth, when you put the facts together that they claim he said he was going to stay behind, and they went back home safely, but yet 2 days later, his body is rushed on the coast. It ends up on the coastline dead, and he doesn't have his cell phone. His mother tracks his cell phone with her sister on Life 360 because people want to know where their children are at. And it is at one of the boys' house who owned the boat. So we're in Mississippi. These were 3 young white men. Nolan was the only young black man. And Reverend Bryant, had the roles been reversed, we know this investigation would be going differently. It would be like First 48.
What? How do we know? On what basis? On what basis is he making this assertion other than to cement in the minds of black folks that no matter what we do, nothing's our fault? They're always against us. The knee is always going to be on our neck. And even if we do everything right, something like this could still happen to us. We just can't catch a break. That's why he told you this story. He wanted to remind you that no matter what, the system, everything's against you. And even if the roles had been reversed, it'd be like First 48. They'd already have autopsy done. The autopsy would already be finished, and they would have had connected all the dots. That's what they want you to believe. Listen, I really would, because I love y'all. I'd really love to play the rest of this clip, but this is triggering for me. Like, his voice is triggering for me. I'm not mature enough. There it is. I'll admit it. I am struggling in the area of maturity to be able to cope and deal with this. Okay? So I can't. Maybe tomorrow and something could be different, but right now ain't no way. No, I can't. I'm sorry. The man lacks credibility to me. And the fact that him and Jamal Bryant are teaming up to notice how they position themselves as the authorities, the people that we should be looking to for guidance and wisdom. They position themselves on like kind of like the Pharisees that sit in the seat. They making the decisions. Like he really does. I am telling you what I know. This is a psyop. It is. This is a psyop. What we just watched, like I said, we never see this level of stop the presses happen when nameless, faceless young men are shot or mysteriously killed, or things just happen to them that don't add up, don't make no sense. Police don't have no leads because nobody in the community wants to talk. These men are nowhere to be found. They don't show any concern for those young men. So like I said, what we just listened to is probably one of the most deceptive Sambo serenades that you probably have heard in a long time. And this is why I say this is a psyop. They want this so bad. They want this to be the next George Floyd. They want this to be the next Breonna Taylor or the next Trayvon Martin. That's what they want. It's not. And they are hoping, like they are wishing, crossing their fingers, hoping this is the next Trey Reed, but not really, because Trey Reed wasn't lynched, but That is the narrative that's already been put out there that hasn't been disproven by them because they won't release the autopsy, so we don't know. Because like I said, speaking of which, they've not released that autopsy. It just went away. Don't ask no questions. Family wants privacy now. We just got off the heels of the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf tragedy, where the family has been demonstrated because they were associated with the JV squad of race hustling and race grievance. They're being sued by Sarah Fields, the investigative journalist. Everybody associated with Carmelo Anthony from a social justice advocacy perspective or just fake legal perspective, something wrong with all of them. They've all been found to be dishonest, criminal. You got Dominique Alexander is like the baby shaking, like it's a mess. Credibility went out the window, and we saw these people were raising money, and at the end of the day, the one who is losing in all of this is Carmelo Anthony, because we watched in the Carmelo Anthony situation, we watched adults advocate for a young man to be able to stab somebody because there was an altercation and he put his hands on him. So, ain't nothing wrong with stabbing somebody for that. They defended that. And they defended it only because Austin Metcalf was white. And so they wanted it to be viewed as, well, the blacks, we just so weak and we feel threatened and we got to protect ourselves. Same situation here. They don't want this to be, first of all, we don't even know what happened. But they don't want this to be, or they will never accept, this could be a dispute between teenagers. This could be a situation where I heard an expert talk about how on these islands with these embankments, how sometimes drownings happen all the time, even with people who swim, because of the way the tide and the current is. Like, it doesn't matter what really happened. They will never accept it or come back and say, we're just glad that the truth came out and that it wasn't racist and there was no nefarious intent. We just want to go grieve our baby. And that's not, you're not going to get that. It's just going to disappear. After they're finished milking this and the funds run out, no one really cares about what actually happened to this young man. His funeral is going to be a Democrat pep rally to invigorate you for the midterms, to make sure that you come out, because democracy, right? Democracy is at risk. And because somehow along the way, this is Donald Trump's fault, because this is Donald Trump's America. So Trump is going to get named at the funeral. I can guarantee you. Al Sharpton's gonna bring him up. This pimp is gonna be there. What's the boy name? Jamal Bryant. He's gonna be there. They're gonna be invoking. This is gonna be a rally. This is a political rally where the memory of this young man is going to be used for political purposes. If I'm wrong, whenever his funeral has been set and they're going to air it, I will retract. If that's what if it just ends up being, let's just celebrate the life of Nolan Wells. No, the moment they let any of these individuals speak, it's going to tell you what this is. They will use anything. Never let a tragedy go to waste. Never. Because it's useful. They have to do this because they are losing Black support. Too many people, including Blacks, are waking up to this race hustle, and the racism is losing its power. So now they have to create it. They got to manufacture it by any means necessary, hoping that it yields them the outcomes that they're looking for in these midterms. They gonna turn out the black vote. Cause y'all all think alike anyway. Cause you get the white people in the room, you don't know what you're gonna get, but them blacks. I already said it. Anyway, it's late. I gotta go. I started this live stream at 9:15. It's really, really late. I am sorry that if I was not as gracious as I could have been, I'm really not in a good mood right now. Listening to him just triggers me really bad, and it's probably best that I end the live stream. Okay? So, until next time, you guys. Let me not be rude and grab we do have a super chat. Let me grab that. We got 2 super chats. Let me go on and grab it. Snow Bunny Empress said, when will someone ask Crump? No, I read this already. I started. It's not a super chat. I'm sorry, but this was my question, Snow Bunny. When was somebody going to ask about that second autopsy of the Black Mississippi college student that was lynched in broad daylight? We still never got those results. You're not going to get them. You're not going to get them. The only way you would get them is if you knew who conducted that independent autopsy and you paid for it yourself. But they are not going to release it because it didn't tell them what they wanted it to say. So why talk about it? You just got to sweep it under the rug and act like it didn't happen. Hey, Willie Doc. Thank you for the super chat, Willie. Willie said, completely off subject. Your scared straight story of hitting a U-turn on Northside Drive was hilarious. Being from Atlanta, I can see it in 3D. Yes! Okay, so Willie went to Morehouse, so he gets it. Before it was the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it was the Georgia Dome. And right after Northside Plaza, the little ghetto apartments, they used to be nice back then, but they ghetto now. If you come out the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it won't let you make a U-turn. You got to go like all the way down until it tells you can. Well, I didn't want to. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just do it right here. And it was bad. The blue lights, the sirens, I remember it like it was yesterday. Yes, I am so glad you enjoyed that story. I had fun telling it to you. And to correct the record, I wasn't 18, I was 19 because I turned 19 that March, and this was like July or August. So this was the summer after freshman year going into sophomore year. Yeah, it was, listen, those were some days. But I got my license and I've had it ever since. So there you go. Thank you so much for the super chat though. All right, you guys. So, what was I saying? That was it. That's all I had to say. I appreciate you guys supporting the show. We're gonna get to this Ben Shapiro show one day this week. Lord willing, I will try to do it tomorrow. I had pulled so many clips and I worked hard on that show, so I probably just need to go ahead and do it. Do y'all even care anymore? Because if y'all don't care, I'll just move on and won't do it. But anyway, we'll see. No, we won't. We won't. That is true. Bobby, if Nolan had been with 3 black friends, we wouldn't be talking about this. And that should make us sad. And that should be so painfully obvious to everyone else, but it's not. They don't care. They're like, but racism trumps the value of one black boy being with a group of 3 black boys and one black boy show up missing and drowning. The racism trumps that. We can't care unless it involves the whites. That's why I'm like, for people that talk about white supremacy so much, they take up real estate in your head, and y'all are the ones talking about it and keeping this racism going. The most we've seen, I should have covered this. I probably am going to cover it. The most we've seen from a widespread display of white supremacy was during the 4th of July weekend when all those masked white supremacists got on the train and just stood there. They ain't say nothing to nobody. I said, y'all are sure enough scary. I was like, y'all, you should be ashamed of yourself for crashing out, talking about the white supremacists are here. Okay, so you mean to tell me, mind you, if I had been on a train with some masked white supremacists, I would have laughed. I'd be like, y'all are sure enough in costume, ain't you? I would have laughed. I'd be like, so what y'all doing? Are y'all trying to roll up on somebody? Are we supposed to be afraid? I would have laughed. I'd be like, oh. But instead, what did we crashed out? Oh my gosh, this is such a tragedy. Like, the black girl was just surrounded. And I'm like, didn't she walk off that train alive? Like, did anybody say anything to her? Did they touch her? Did they like slit? Oh, yeah, no, they didn't slit her throat like they did Karina Zaru. Oh, okay. She went home, didn't she? Mm-hmm. See, that is the closest we get. Like, I'm waiting for the white supremacists. I want something to pop off. I do. I need them to try to write Negro. Because y'all are too scared. Y'all are no fun. It's too easy to get you to cry and be afraid. That's why they're like, we don't even bother. We don't. I said, wait a minute. I said, are people actually afraid? I said, but did they do something? Oh, they said the words hurt you. Point where on the doll they hurt you. I mean, I was in DC in 2020 or 2021 when Black Lives Matter was acting a whole fool. And I was walking the streets of DC with my family, and some punk threw a water bottle at us. And I'm trying to remember, did somebody have on a MAGA hat? No, my husband would not let us wear a MAGA hat. It was somebody else in the group that had a MAGA hat on. And he threw a water bottle at us. And I'm like, we've been living under the terror of Antifa and Black Lives Matter that actually burn down cities and hurt people. And y'all want me scared because some white supremacists allegedly who didn't show their face, didn't say nothing to nobody, and didn't touch nobody, assembled. Okay, I guess is the threat now neutralized, or is it still on code orange? I just need to know how to prepare. I don't know. We gonna have to do better. I don't take Quayshawn and them terrorize your neighborhood every weekend, but you was afraid of the white people. They hold that much power that they don't even have to say anything. They just assemble and march in unison, and you're scared. You should be embarrassed, but you're not. You're not. Listen, I am of the opinion that you are not discriminated against or treated a certain kind of way because of the color of your skin or your ethnicity. You're treated that way because you're weak. That's it. They don't respect you, and that's why. And I know that's offensive, and y'all like, dang, what is she trying to say? I just said it. That's it. That's it. Because I'm telling you, I don't care what color you are. If you roll up on us, it's going to be a whole problem. This is why the Second Amendment is so important. I'm able to exercise my First Amendment because of the second. Like, Jesus in my heart, but that 9mm got to stay on that hip. Try something if you want to. This is why I don't understand gun control and black folks advocating for stricter gun laws. I'm like, you need your guns. If the white people are bothering you this much, what are you going to use to defend yourself? You say they racist. Okay, I agree. You say they got their knee on your neck and they are after you. Okay, I agree. What is your solution? How are you going to fight back? What you going to do? You turned your guns in. You have no guns. So how are you going to protect yourself? Oh, I forgot. You going to march and you want the government. You want the government, the same government that you claim is racist and don't care about you. You want them to enact legislation to protect you. Do you see how illogical and retarded this sounds? If you were really afraid and threatened, you wouldn't turn in your guns. You'd actually be going to get more. Like the white folks got a whole lot of guns because they already know what's up. They have their guns not just to protect themselves from y'all, but from the government, from these Marxists who want to take them. You're going to have to pry it out of our cold, dead hands. I'm telling you, got to get you some good white friends. They are your best friend in the time of calamity. When it hit the fan, they are prepared. They got food, weeks of food, backup power. I'm telling you what I know. The rest of y'all gonna be out here trying to figure out I don't know what we're gonna do. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ugh. Let me get off this phone. I'm not on the phone. I'm on the internet. Let me go. All right. Ben Crump just put me in a bad mood right now. I'm sorry. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. But until next time, stand firm, stay bold, keep Jesus in your heart. You're not on your hip. And above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace, you guys. I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. There's a victim narrative here in the United States of America that says you have no control over your lives, no control over your agency. And they're basically saying that you're an animal, that you're a slave. I don't believe that. I don't think it's ever been the case. As an heir of Jesus Christ and as a child of God, I cannot be oppressed. I cannot be a victim. I do not think I am, nor do I think that any American ever has been, or any person. Even when it comes to slavery, I believe, and I think they hold true, that slavery was a choice. You know how I know? Because people are choosing to be slaves now. So I'm making a documentary to debunk the myth that any human being or any American is held under bondage without their permission, even if they have to kill or give their lives to be free. Freedom is a choice, and slavery is a choice also.
We're asking you to partner with us. We are here. We have begun filming Slavery is a Choice, and it's an incredible documentary that outlines Vince's argument to prove to the world that slavery is absolutely a choice. I've partnered with him in the executive producer position, and we are appealing to our audience, you guys, those who watch us faithfully every single week, to help us bring this film to market. We've begun a crowdfunding campaign, and we're going to link the opportunity in the description below for you to partner with us and give any amount to help us bring this project to market. Slavery is absolutely a choice, and we know that slavery is a choice because we're choosing it today with many of the decisions that we continue to make to our own detriment. So we're hoping that you guys will partner with us, and we want to bring this film to market in summer of 2026. So click the link down below, and I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. Freedom is a choice, but in order to be free, you must be brave. In order to not be a slave, you must believe in Jesus Christ. So believe in freedom. Believe in courage. Be courageous. Assist us in this project, and let's set and make other people free by being true blue Americans, true blue patriots, true blue Christians, believing in ourselves and believing in the future ahead. Thank you.